Let's look at Standard 1 in some detail. So Standard 1 covers overview and introduction to the course, and let's look at each of the little parts. The overall design of the course must be made clear to the student at the beginning of the course. This includes making sure that the student knows how to get started in the course. So there's a number of ways of satisfying these standards. And I'll show you some of the more common ones. So how to get started in the course. Usually that's going to involve having a news item on the course homepage that is the first thing that the student sees when they come into the course. So here's an example from one of the courses I teach most often. And on day one, when the student comes to the course, they're going to be welcome to the course. The news item is going to tell them what the course is about. It's going to direct them to the class orientation, class syllabus, class calendar, and provide a short orientation video to get started. Then they're going to be directed to the Content tab, where they're going to find the Intro to Online Learning module if they want to get started on an online course. And they're also going to be introduced to some course information resources, including under course requirements, I have a syllabus that has an extensive body of knowledge. So we'll look at that in a little more detail later on. So that's how the student gets started in the course. The purpose of the course is stated. That's usually done either in a separate module or inside the syllabus or both. So under course information in the syllabus, I have the course description from the CCOG. So this tells the student what they'll be learning in the course and what the course is about. I also have the course outcomes from the CCOG, which once again tells the student what the learning outcomes are. The purpose of the course is stated. The instructor is introduced to the student. So I have in my course a separate page where I introduce myself to the student. So here's my instructor introduction. And I have a picture that's chosen of myself in an informal setting because I want to make myself be accessible to my students. I want them to view me as somebody who cares whether they succeed in the course or not, and somebody that they feel comfortable contacting. I have contact information. I also have a little background about myself and why am I at PCC? Why did I come here? And my educational background. So this is a brief introduction so the student knows who I am and feels comfortable approaching me. Students introduce themselves to each other. So typically this is done by having an introduce yourself discussion where the students are asked to introduce themselves to their classmates. And I have this right in Module 1. So in Lesson 1, Intro to Software Design, one of the first things the student is asked to do is to introduce themselves to their classmates. So here's the Introduce Yourself topic, and it's linked directly from the content on Module 1. Check that the student understands netiquette expectations. So in the Intro to Online Learning module, there is actually a resource on how to communicate effectively online. And this does include some brief instructions on netiquette. And that finally, the student is prepared for the class. So once again, typically this is done in the course syllabus. And in my syllabus, I include near the top prerequisites. So prerequisites in terms of both the previous coursework that the student is expected to have completed, but also a brief rundown of the kinds of things I expect the student to know to be successful in the course.